Hi, Florence.
Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to see you again,
Yeah,
virtually.
really, of course. Yeah, congratulations on the opening of the show. It went really well. So,
Thank you. It looks so good.
oh, thank you so much. We're very excited about the whole installation and everything. It
Yeah,
really came together. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Even Nate's work, it looks great. I think it matches really well with like my paint brush strokes too within the painting and things like that.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of interesting, I think, conversation going on between you both, materially wise, as well as subject matter. So
Mhm.
yeah. Anyways, I thought it was going to be a good time to meet today after the opening and just chat a little bit and kind of talk about the exhibition, get a little more in depth with it. And I also wanted to congratulate you on your mural at the Four Seasons.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah.
Thanks so much.
And that's Four Seasons in Toronto, correct?
Yes, yes. The one in
Hey,
Toronto.
wow. And when did that go up?
May 18 it was up. Yeah. I had like a really short time to work on it.
Okay.
It was like yeah, it was kind of sprung up on me in the middle of me preparing for this show. So I'm like, oh my God. But it worked out. It looks great, so I'm really happy.
I was going to say, it looks beautiful. I would never know that you were on a tight timeline.
Thanks.
Yeah, so why don't we kind of just jump right in?
Okay.
I do have some images of your works, the ones that you sent with the beautiful colored backgrounds. I do have them available here, so I'll just share my screen as we're just chatting, and that way I'll
Okay.
kind of periodically flip through the works as we're going. And if there's any image you do want to see or talk a bit more about based on what we're discussing, you can let me know, and I'll just flip to that image.
All right.
So let me just see here. I will do share content. Well, all right. So, I mean, why don't we start off with just talking a little bit about your journey, I guess, as an artist. This
Mhm.
is, I think, as you mentioned before, your debut solo exhibition. And yeah, exciting times. You had mentioned also to me that you had just gone back to painting quite
Mhm.
recently and just recently as a full-time artist back in August. So
Yeah,
congratulations there as well.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So just
so, I guess I can I mean, it's a really long journey, so I don't know where to start. I only recently started painting around 2016, and
mm,
I think painting again and creating work because since I moved here in Canada from the Philippines, I think I was around like 12 or 13.
mm,
I didn't really do anything creative. I didn't draw or paint. I did a lot when I was a kid, but
mhm,
when I moved here, that kind of stopped. I'm not really sure why. I'm thinking just because I think I was so preoccupied with trying to assimilate here
mhm,
and kind of fit in, and also just our whole family was kind of really invested in our family business. And
mhm.
I guess that's like a very, typical immigrant story too, right? Where you move to another country and your life forms around you know, creating this new life that and just trying to survive in this new country, right? So I
Mhm,
think that's that's why I stopped. I think I just wanted to really just fit in, get like a regular job and, help out with the family business. And that was kind of my whole life until 2016, where I think I had like a breaking point where I feel like I didn't really know who I was and
mhm,
what I really wanted to do in the future. I mean, I had like a good career as an interior designer, and I was
mm.
working at an architecture firm for 9 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, I mean, I jumped into like different companies, but I was mostly in the same company for 9 years.
Mhm,
Yeah, so 2016, I just I just wasn't sure what I was doing, to be honest. And I was kind of lost, and I had this breaking point that led me to take a leave of absence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was like for 6 months. And for that 6 month period, I just started painting and drawing again just for fun. I didn't really take it seriously and think that this is what I was going to do moving forward. It was more of an outlet for me just
Mm-hmm.
to kind of help me deal with like mental issues I was having at that time. So that's how it started. That's how I started painting again. And I think the work really kind of represents that like confusion and kind of unraveling in
Mm-hmm.
like these women in these pieces, how they're all fragmented and you don't know if they're coming together or kind of like falling apart, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think that's very representative of what I was going through at that time. And a lot of, well, all of my work really is based on kind of like that moment. I think
Mm-hmm.
because it was such a big turning point in my life, that's why it's so prevalent in my work now.
Yeah, no, I think that makes complete
Mhm.
sense the way that you're speaking about it and the way that I read the work, and I think others read the work as well. Like you're saying, a falling apart or a coming together, and a kind of confusion as to
Mhm.
which direction they're going. And I think that definitely comes across in the pieces. And I've also noted, just in viewing your work in person and in the past, there's always this really great sense of balance in
Mhm.
the way that you compose your images. I know that you work from digital collages quite often and then
Mhm.
kind of translate that back into painting and kind of bring these, as you call them, fictitious figures to life through
Mhm.
painting. Yeah, and I think that's the harmony and the balance that you managed to achieve amongst that sense of confusion or falling apart,
Mhm.
I think is really key too. For me, I
Yeah.
read that as like an acceptance of these multiple conflicting maybe aspects of ourselves, or
Yeah.
a balancing and a harmony that we find as we get to kind of know ourselves better as well.
Mhm. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so I was curious to know who the figures are in your paintings. They all, obviously, for this exhibition, it's all female figures.
Mhm.
Are these people that you know personally? Are they people that you find online?
Yeah, these aren't people that I know personally. I kind of just sift through a lot of like images that I like online, or I work with my cousin who's a photographer, and she has her own kind of library of like models and photos that I use a lot for references.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't know these people personally, but I do focus on women just
Mm-hmm.
because um, I think it I think just going back again to my experience growing up as a Filipina immigrant here in Canada, I think just that l- learning to be kind of independent and kind of creating your own identity was
Mm-hmm.
like very difficult. So I kind of wanted to focus on that person, not me specifically, but
Mm-hmm.
the women as a whole. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I just wanted
Yeah,
to
it
represent
does.
women in general. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so I would say those are the people in my pieces, but they're not anyone specific.
Yeah, so they become more just representations of, I think, maybe what's can be a universal experience amongst a lot of women in many cultures, and this kind of
Mhm.
the complexity of what it means to be a woman, and then to have that also in conversation with being an immigrant in another country, right? And then you're adapting
Mhm.
to different cultural contexts and things like that. And I think there's, yeah, I like the richness and the kind of feminist undertaking in your pieces too, where it's kind of,
Mhm.
there isn't just a two-dimensional version of what a woman is, and it's a much more complex and manifold identity. So I
Yeah,
really like how you approach that as well.
yeah.
Um,
And I think just going back to like my own experience, because just from my background culturally too, right? Women kind of like depended on men and like the patriarch of the family. So I grew up very similar to that. And
mhm,
I feel like that's why in that gap where I didn't paint or do anything creative,
mhm,
I was very, because like, when I moved here, I felt really lost. So I kind of really relied on my father to do everything for me, to do the speaking for me,
mm,
because I just grew up like really shy, and like I didn't open up a lot to people. So
mm,
I placed a lot of dependence on him.
mm,
So now that I'm kind of like getting to know myself more, and I'm more independent, I feel like these people are a kind of representation of that. Like,
mm,
coming together and finally like picking up the fragments of who they are and like placing it together. But at the same time, there's like an unlearning there,
mm,
where you kind of shed pieces of you that you don't want and you want to leave behind. So there's kind of, again, going back to like it's either coming together or falling apart. Like there's like a juxtaposition there for the.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of your title selections as well kind of point to this kind of questioning an identity, a search for
Mhm.
self. For instance, the piece that's on the screen right now is titled "Split."
Mhm.
Another called "Alter Ego" or "Shadow Number Three." So I think there's a lot of that reference in the titles as well.
For sure, yeah.
Another thing I was looking and kind of made a connection with when we were installing the show too that I really appreciated was the size that you chose for the pieces. And they're all
Mhm.
very, I mean, they're portrait kind of shoulder up and
Yeah.
they're a nice kind of intimate size where it's almost the
Mhm.
figure's head is the exact same size almost as a real person's head. So there's this great one-to-one ratio and ability to connect with them almost as real figures too. So I like that the format that you chose for those as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did also notice in the figures, and I think this comes with you saying too that it's a representation of you in a way, but also a bit of all women. And I was wondering if you have any future plans or anything, or the future direction of your work now that you're kind of settling into your practice as you
Mhm.
continue to grow. Is your Filipino heritage going to make a more prominent appearance in the works, or do you think you're going to continue making pieces that kind of represent the definition or women as a whole?
I'm definitely focusing on my Filipino heritage for my next body of work. Like that's
Oh,
what I'm planning for in
mhm,
the future, because now that I've kind of like settled into, I know that this is what I want to do, this is who I am.
mm,
I think there's like a further stage there where I'm trying to get to know my Filipino side again. Just
mm,
because when I moved here, I feel like there's that I kind of tried to shed it from myself, because there was this like internalized shame where I had of being Filipino, because I felt
mm,
like I had to be more Canadian, you know,
mm,
and growing up, I didn't want to be different. So I wanted to make sure I got rid of my Filipino accent. I wanted to make sure, whatever profession I took up, it was, a typical office job, 9 to 5, in like a prominent company.
mm,
I wanted to kind of steer away from the the stereotype of Filipinos being a nurse, although there's nothing wrong with that, right? So
mhm,
there are these like little nuances where I feel like I'm trying to steer away from my Filipino background.
mhm,
Now that I feel like um, I feel like I'm more confident in who I am. I want to get to know that side of me again. So
mhm,
focus more on specifically, I'm really interested in like Filipino folklore, just
Oh,
because
interesting.
yeah, just because there's so many characters there and so many stories that reflect so much of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I'm kind of like researching now, reading up upon. So I'm really excited to kind of see where it takes my work.
Yeah, no, that could be a very, very interesting combination. And yeah, I really look forward to seeing how you integrate that into the pieces. And yeah, do you think, I mean, it's obviously early stages, but do you think it'll continue to kind of have that representation of a mixed kind of digital hard edge abstraction with the portraiture? Do you think it'll take a different direction?
I'm not sure yet, to be
Mm.
honest. I'm like really into like the early stages of my career, so I don't want to kind of settle into a certain style just because that's what
Mm,
people got to know me as, you know what I mean? So I still want to
yeah.
explore more, and especially I didn't really start painting till like how many years ago? I was like 5 years ago,
Yeah, yeah.
5, 6 years ago. So I feel like I'm still at this stage where like there's so many more um like styles or techniques that I want to explore. So I'm not sure where it'll take me. I mean,
Yeah.
it might still have that kind of digital hard edge aspect to it. Or I
Mhm.
might do something completely different. I'm not really sure. So
Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of the life of being an artist, right? It's the constant constantly discovering and maybe reinventing yourself in new ways. I mean, as people were always
mhm.
changing, so it's natural that our art would change with us as well. So
Yeah, yes.
yeah. I did speaking about the hard edge abstraction, I mean, I personally, when I look at the work and I read those shapes and forms, to me, knowing that you approach it digitally to begin with, it really reminds me of like a Photoshop, eraser tool, or paint
Mhm.
tool. And I, to me, that makes me think of, like erasure, so or either removing or maybe hiding with like the addition of
Mhm.
another layer, so there's all this like duplication of the same figure over again in your work. um is there a specific significance for you in that shape, in that kind of Photoshop almost inspired technique?
I think that comes more from my design background. Uh,
Mm.
in terms of like the technical skills from my design background, just because I I would always be using, you know, software and like
Mm.
I wouldn't really do a lot of manual drawing or rendering or anything like that. Everything was from the computer using a design software. So I think that that really just comes from my design background.
So it's
Yeah.
more about form and balance and
Yeah, yeah. And I think like really the kind of the composition of the shapes and how the colors come together. I think that speaks so much of my design background.
Mhm.
So I think that's mostly where it's coming from. I don't know if there's anything, you know, too significant about it. Again, I think because I am coming from interior design into painting, I think just
Yeah.
because they're so close together, that transition, the
Mm.
design, like part of me kind of just bled through
Yeah,
the
definitely.
painting practice. So yeah, I believe that's where it came from.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I think it's they're beautiful open works that can be read in so many different ways. So I
Mhm.
really like the openness of every piece. I did, because I have Peeling Oranges on the screen right now. I do have a question about, I think I mentioned it just a bit earlier, your titling and how it all has this really great connection to identity. And I was so curious to know a little bit more about Peeling Oranges and
Mhm.
the origin of the title for you, or the meaning of the title for you, if any, of course. But
I think it's more of it's really just a metaphor for again, unlearning and kind of unraveling this kind of persona that you've always had, but you didn't know that there was like another side of you. I felt like that was my experience. I never knew that there was another inside of me, um, inside that layer, just because I never took the time to explore it, or just because um, just growing up, like I've just always kind of stuck to the societal standards. So I never took the time to kind of really get to know myself, and that's where also the Doppelgänger name came from for the for the exhibition, because between that long gap, or um, between where I moved to Canada and then when I started painting again, that was like what, some odd like 20 years or something. Um, yeah, I feel like I was just existing within that time frame. There really, I felt like there was no effort to grow and to um, kind of figure out who I am and like what my identity was, just because just trying so hard to assimilate within this society and this new country that I was in. So I think my whole that whole timeline, it was all about that. So I think peeling oranges is just really a metaphor. The name is just a metaphor for kind of unraveling, unlearning, and kind of like seeing what's inside. So that's where it came from. It's kind of just like a quirky take on that concept.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fantastic title. We were all definitely the star piece of the show. It was a much loved piece here at the gallery too, and I think the title really contributed to that. So it makes sense it's on the main feature wall of the show.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite pieces too. I think also because of the colors too. I think the orange parts really pop out, and I think those are kind of representative of that inner layer that you're seeing now once you peel that, that outside layer. So
Yeah,
um
like the vibrant inner
yeah,
personality that maybe you've hidden away or something. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
juicy parts.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we were actually completely blown away here at the gallery as well, because obviously you'd sent us photos prior to the exhibition, but unwrapping them in person was like Christmas, and it was just the colors are just beautiful. So to anybody that's going to be watching this online, absolute must see in person, because yeah, that orange that you're describing in peeling oranges, it has almost a digital vibrancy to it. It's just yeah, really beautiful. So
Yeah, the colors are really hard to capture
mm.
through photographs. Even the photographer that I work with, he tells me that it's so hard to match the colors of the actual pieces, just because they're so vibrant in real life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally understand. Apparently the human eye can only or can register many more colors than the camera. So it's always best to see works in person.
For sure, for sure.
For the story. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess you may have touched on it a little bit. Like you're a self-taught artist, obviously fully. Um, I'm wondering, do you prefer to approach the pieces digitally because it's something that you're used to because of your design background
Mm.
only? Is there anything else there that you enjoy about that process? Like, is it maybe more flexible for you? I know you said the pieces change a little bit
Mhm.
from creation and digital collage version to the
Mhm.
canvas.
I think the digital aspect of it is really, I like seeing the piece as a whole, like the
Mm.
composition, the colors. I mean, I can do that manually, but I feel like there's something about, again, that this like comes in from my background, right? Like that's what I'm
Mhm.
used to, and
Yeah.
I'm so like what would you call that? It's kind of like the language that I know. that I've always
Yeah.
known.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I use to start off a piece. And then the painting part, it's like these two worlds coming together, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
my old self and the new one that I'm getting to learn, the artist, like the painter. So it's them like these two worlds like clashing in a way.
Oh.
So yeah, so there's a digital aspect, the planning of the piece, like playing with the colors, messing around with the composition. And then there's the painting part, which is it's also a learning process for me because I am a self-taught artist. So
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, the painting part is it's more technical now because
Right.
um you know, I'm learning how to blend better with every piece. I'm learning
Mm-hmm.
color better with every piece. So
Mm-hmm.
again, that's why I think it's like a clash of two worlds, like the old me and then the new me who's still learning. As
Yeah.
so yeah, I think sorry, I forgot the question.
That's all right. No, I love how you worded that there about the old
Yeah, yeah.
you and the new you meeting and how it's kind of come through in your process. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was also I was talking about this here, reminding me something you'd also said that I thought was quite interesting, and I wanted to talk to you more about as well. And you mentioned kind of the areas of more texture or more representational areas in your work, like the hair and the
Mm-hmm.
contrast that they have with these kind of more airbrushed or hard edge areas of maybe flat color or gradations of color. And there's all this duplication that you work with. And so you
Mm-hmm.
talked about it being like a questioning of what's real and what's fake. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit more about that and how you see that coming through in the pieces too.
I feel like those details and kind of like duplications and you know the fragmented parts coming together. I think like I see them more as like moments in my
Mm,
life and kind of my experiences
mm,
um, placed on these paintings.
mm,
Uh, Again, it's like what you said. It's kind of trying to dissect what's real and what's not, and kind of what's I feel like it's what's real for me and what's not, like things that I want to keep now that I'm kind of getting to know myself better and things that I
yeah.
kind of want to get rid of. So that's why there's also a lot of duplication. So
Mm,
yeah, I see it as a whole as kind of like suspended moments in time based on my experiences and kind of like composed together into a piece. So
mm-hmm.
that's why um that's why like even though the piece is kind of like very dynamic, you still kind of have to move through the painting to see like those details and appreciate them because that's how
Mm-hmm.
I see it as these special moments suspended in time and kind of like you know painted onto a painting and like it came together as like one complete composition. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it just really speaks of I know I kind of like reiterate this all the time, but again, it's really all that like unraveling, unlearning and coming
Mm-hmm.
together, you know, specific moments um to kind of capture this moment now. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like all coming together in a way, right? It's not
Yeah.
really a complete picture yet. You don't know if it's done, but there is kind of like a certain harmony there already that you know that it's gonna kind of eventually evolve into something that it is complete. So
Yeah. Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna
I
say, are
think
we
that's
ever
how I see
truly
it.
done, you know?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think as an artist, you never really want it to be done in a way. You always
Yeah, no,
want
that's
it
fun.
to feel like there's, you know, something bigger, something better, something, you know, like more meaningful, like coming
Yeah.
along to a piece. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like growing as a person, right? There's always going to be, once you kind of reach one level, you know, you're going to say, okay, well, I've got a grasp on this now, and then there's going to be more
Yeah.
learning, and always new things to discover, right? And it's like you're saying about, you know, your future body of work. how you're now doing more research into your Filipino background, all these kind of mythologies and things like that, and that's going to inform kind of your next level, right?
Exactly.
No, I'm just going to switch back over to Zoom view because I'm unsure if people can actually see you there. So we'll just have a little bit of FaceTime with you.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like sliding between screens.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, wasn't quite sure. I'm surprisingly still new to the Zoom world after 2 years of pandemic. But yeah, I was as I was gonna say, I really appreciated how you took the chance for this exhibition kind of I don't want to say like be a point of culmination because we're just talking about how everything continues to kind of keep growing and keep learning, right? But I think it's great that you took the moment to kind of recognize your journey from going back to painting and being self-taught, and so the point that you're at now and kind of what that whole process has meant to you, which is what I gather is Doppelgänger is this whole experience of the rediscovering of yourself as kind of piecing back together your whole identity, and then using this show as kind of a marker, a point to stop on and really stop and reflect on that, and then I think from here move forward, right, and keep
exactly. Yeah, I was kind of worried about that people will think that this is it, this is like this is me as a painter, as an artist, but for me this is just kind of like a stage in the journey. So I feel like, you know, there's this whole like kind of importance placed on style as an artist, but for me, I really don't want to kind of like just stop there and say this is me. I feel like that's why I also have like abstract pieces besides like kind of like the portraits. That's me kind of like trying to step out and kind of explore and, you know, get to know, okay, what else can I do? Like what other kind of like imagery can I portray in my pieces? And, you know, how else can I express myself? So yeah.
No, I think it's great that as like a emerging artist, and that you're not pigeonholing yourself into this one thing, or you're actively trying to avoid that pressure of like, okay, well now I'm known for this thing, so I have to just keep doing that thing, right? Because I think there's so many beautiful aspects of your work that, you know, deserve to be explored further and you know, picked apart and explored to their fullest extent. So
yeah, especially that I'm self-taught, right? Like for me, these are like these are just the initial stages that I'm at. I don't feel like I'm kind of like there already where I'm at like okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and you know, I'm set on this. I feel like it's still a baby in the world and, you know, in painting. So I'm still definitely in the initial stages of my practice.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's even in the like few years that you have been actively making art and practicing. It's been wonderful to see just how much everything's progressed since then. And I really look forward to seeing your future body of works. And we're so pleased to have the show up in the gallery. We're really looking forward to it. So thank you so much for putting all the time and effort into putting this show together. And
no, I think so much for presenting it so well. I was like so happy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I want to hear. I just want you to love it. And I hope I know you weren't here or weren't able to make it for the opening, but I'm so glad that we were able to do this and just get a little bit more in-depth chatting about the work and introduce everybody to you virtually, which everybody's very used to now. So
thanks. Yeah, I hope I explained my work well. I have difficulty kind of like translating my work and what I'm trying to say. I guess maybe that's why I paint, because I'm not good with words.
Visual language. But also you did a fantastic job at explaining yourself. It was very, very clear. And I think you did a wonderful job. So I think we're just past about a half-hour marker. So I'll just, I guess we can just wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have any questions or anything else you want to know about the show from me, feel free to reach out to anybody who is going to be tuning into this later when this is posted on our YouTube. The exhibition is up until June 30th, so I'll be on view until then, and then the works, if any remain, will be still available at the gallery for viewing after that point as well. You can also see Florence's work on our website. So she's got a profile with us there. So that's wallspacegallery.com. And you can read all about the show there as well. All right, thank you so much, Florence. Really look forward to hopefully meeting you in person sometime soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. And I hope you get to enjoy the sunshine before it rains.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.